Let's now shift focus to how technology is reducing common medical and drug errors in both the public and private healthcare sectors. According to various experts, studies show that around 8% of hospital patients show adverse reactions to treatment, and half of these are preventable. Dr. Yaseen Khan is the co-founder and CEO of EMGuidance and joins us now in studio to talk more about this. Dr. Khan, a very good morning to you. Welcome to Morning Live. I mean, what are some of the common errors that happen in the medical industry?
Thank you, Lebo. Firstly, it's a really substantial issue. We hear about it every now and then in the news. But importantly, there's real data on this as well. Just to give you a quick sense, there was a study done recently in KwaZulu-Natal, in a pediatric ICU, and about 75% of the doctors were actually unable to calculate dosing calculations effectively and accurately. Now, dosing calculations are just one of the types of issues, right? But you can imagine when you go to your doctor, firstly, is it the right drug for the condition? Was the dosage accurate? Do perhaps two drugs on the prescription interact? But more than those frank medical issues, what about the economics? So is the prescription really cost effective?
Yeah.
The most cost effective? And many a times you go to a pharmacy and you end up with a co-payment that is potentially unnecessary. Now, if the doctor were potentially aware of a better drug to choose to eliminate that kind of co-payment, that's also a form of an error. So these are really things that affect both at the medical level and at the economic level. And these things are quite common.
And how do we begin to know something like that? Because I imagine, because I'm not in the medical field, I will go to a doctor with all the trust I have,
Yes.
trust that he knows and he studied all this because he would know the dosage that I need.
Yes.
How would I even begin to know that, notice the error as well?
Yes. So I think that, the first thing to note is that South African doctors work very hard and under very trying conditions. And that this is not only a South African problem, it's a global problem.
Yeah.
The WHO says that this could occur anytime between 10 and 50% of cases. So it's not only South African patients that face this, it's all over the world. And the truth is, it is very difficult to know because we do place a lot of burden on the shoulders of our healthcare professionals. The thing that needs to happen is that instead of expecting patients to know, the health system, the digital systems that support doctors, in the same way that if you look at the airline industry, right, they train the pilots, but you don't have to have so much faith in the pilot because the system around the pilot, the checklists, the software, the fact that the whole thing is systems driven, you trust that part. And that's what we're saying. We're saying that we really need to build the digital smarts around our healthcare professionals so that the system is very sound, so that when you as a patient encounter the healthcare professional, there's a greater degree of trust, and we can really aim for far greater kind of reduction in error. And there are many ways to achieve that technologically.
Yeah, and you say this is also preventable. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, that is the main thing about when one defines a medication error, a medicine error. It really has to be something that is preventable and ultimately in the control of the healthcare professional. And so if you think about things like dosing, and you think about things like selecting the right drug or selecting the most cost-effective drug, what really should happen is that if you look at the digitization, there's a lot of digitization that's happening in healthcare currently. But the kind of digitization that's happening is digitization of records and of billing. And even in telemedicine, these are replicating sort of the existing processes. Are we digitizing in such a way that we can make the system safe? So when a healthcare professional is actually prescribing, should the system, the digital prescription, the digital solution not be able to say, hey, you know what, these are probably the drugs you should select that are safer, that are more cost-effective, that are more in line with your medical scheme. And it's possible to do that. It's possible to achieve that. We have the data. We have the solutions. But many of our doctors are still not using electronic systems, and our electronic systems are not smart. And those are some of the things that we've been working on. It's several other, software companies, but like the one I represent, EMGuidance, is what we're working on. We want to make absolutely sure that the right data to support medical decision making in the local setting. Which antibiotics should doctors be prescribing in the local setting? What is the local government regulation? Which drugs are available in our market? And when you actually prescribe and when you make these decisions electronically, can we make the systems electronically smart? And we are at the point where we've got about 50% of the healthcare professionals in South Africa actively using the mobile app and website that we have. And now we've started rolling out intelligent digital prescription already that really does this kind of thing. And working with several partners to make sure that we make the system smarter and smarter and smarter, so we can aim towards that kind of zero error that the airline industry has when it comes to making medical decisions very safe and very effective.
And I wanted to ask, speaking of partners, I mean, what's the how's the response from the drug manufacturers and the pharmaceutical companies? Are they responding well? I mean, you're talking about 50% of medical doctors responding to this, but there's the other side where the pharmaceutical companies need to play their part as well.
No, absolutely. So most of the larger multinational pharmaceuticals, the science-based companies that make the drugs, have some presence on our platform already. So we've established partnerships with them. And the primary thing to reflect on here is that the drug manufacturers are substantially resourced and are the developers of the medicine. They have been involved in the medical ecosystem and will always be involved. What's important is that they're involved in such a way that really respects the autonomy of the healthcare professional, and in such a way that adds value to the healthcare professional decision making and ultimately to the patient outcome. So there's some practical ways of achieving this. Manufacturers, for example, on our platform assist with the correct administration and dosing of a product. They provide tools, digital tools, that help doctors guide patients on, for example, if you've got a latest insulin pen, how to use that. The drug manufacturers invest in that kind of information and education. But also about product safety, about reporting of adverse drug reactions. There are several ways in which a drug manufacturer in the digital space can engage with the healthcare professional to really support the accurate and safe use of a product. And more this can be done digitally. So we do see these partnerships, and they are taking shape really well. And there are several other parties, major stakeholders as well in the medical ecosystem that are able to support healthcare professionals on the front line. These include medical schemes, these include hospitals, and similarly, there are digital technologies that can support in this space.
All right, Dr. Khan, thank you so much for coming in this morning. Thank you for talking to us about this. Dr. Yaseen Khan, he is the co-founder and CEO of EMGuidance and has been unpacking how technology is reducing common medical and drug errors in our healthcare sectors.